So if the police union is behind you, what can we see in your record? Not just your words. Perhaps you've never been in this position, but what in your record demonstrates a willingness to prosecute law enforcement when they violate the rights of citizens?
Sure. So I have prosecuted law enforcement. I've worked with law enforcement and I've prosecuted law enforcement. And I really believe that it's possible to support people and hold them accountable at the same time. I've prosecuted police officers who've committed violent acts of domestic violence and sexual assault. And I've also filed multiple internal affairs investigations when things didn't rise to the level of a crime, but I had serious concerns about behavior. So I've been able to do that my whole career, while at the same time being able to answer the call at 2 in the morning, approving a search warrant or whatever it is.
Have you ever prosecuted a law enforcement officer for an action they took on the job as opposed to off the job?
I have not.
Okay. John Walsh, Denverite reports that during your time as U.S. Attorney for Colorado, you never initiated a federal prosecution of a law enforcement officer for violating a civilian's civil rights. Is that because no law enforcement officers violated Coloradan civil rights while you were in charge, or did you just choose not to prosecute them for it?
So this is an issue I've worked on for decades. I was actually on Denver's Public Safety Review Commission back 20 years ago, which was the civilian oversight of law enforcement. It's an issue I care deeply about, but I think it's crucially important to understand what the process is for those sorts of investigations. The DA's office has the principal responsibility for assessing whether or not there's been excessive force or an unjustified shooting by a police officer. If the DA's office does not prosecute, it sometimes comes to the Department of Justice, but doesn't normally come to the U.S. Attorney's Office directly. It goes to the Civil Rights Division in Washington, D.C., which is a group of people who specialize in these prosecutions all across the country and take the laboring oar. They investigate a case. They work, granted, with the U.S. Attorney as local liaison, and make determinations. And when they come in with a conclusion, we conclude that there's not a basis to proceed. While I was U.S. Attorney, and I come to this with some humility, I would defer to them. As I look back on that, should I, as U.S. Attorney, have been more forceful in asking questions, pushing harder, making sure that I, in fact, agreed that that was the appropriate result? Yes. And would I do it differently today? I think I would. But at the time, we were deferring to the experts at the national level for the investigation and for those decisions.